Hello everyone, this is Putnam County historian Larry Tippin. We have been doing a series on tiny towns and vanished villages of Putnam County. Today we're going to talk about Hamrick, also known as Hamrick Station. Start out by showing a map, see the location of it. This is from the 1879 Putnam County Atlas. This is Manhattan Road, what we commonly call Manhattan Road, as it goes south to Greencastle toward Manhattan. Then we see the Terre Haute Indianapolis Railroad, also called the Vandalia, comes down. And until just a few years ago, not too many years ago, there was an overpass where the road went over the road. We see a small cemetery here, and then the Boone Hutchison Cemetery over here. Then schoolhouse number 1, not far from here, is what we call House Cover Bridge. Hamrick Station was 5 miles south of Greencastle, as noted on the Manhattan Road. The focal point of the community was the depot along the Vandalia rail line. The Hamrick Post Office, which began in 1866, and then school number 1 was located close enough to the west to be called the Hamrick School. The original Hamrick School building is believed to have been located about a mile west of the Manhattan Road and about that much north of the Hamrick Road, dense wood near a spring of water. Sometime prior to 1864, the log building was abandoned and a new one-room frame structure was built on the north side of Hamrick Road, about a quarter mile west of Manhattan Road. In 1923, that school was closed. Students then began attending the Manhattan schools. It's a really neat photo, courtesy of the Putnam County Public Library, which was the Hamrick Station, a small 2-story building right along the railroad track. Photo taken about 1916. Fred Ferris was the proprietor of the station. See an article in 1924 from the Daily Banner where the station, the building itself, was destroyed by fire. It says the Hamrick Station on the Pennsylvania Railroad, 3 miles southwest of the city, probably a little more than that, was completely destroyed by fire Saturday afternoon about 1 o'clock. The blaze began apparently from a passing engine from the train, then burned the roof of the building. By the time it was noticed, the building, which by then had been abandoned, was too late to save. That at the time of the fire, Mr. Abrams, back up. The building had been standing unused for several years. Sister Paul Abrams took possession several months prior to this fire. At the time of the fire, Mr. Abrams was away from home. His household goods were all destroyed. G.W. Alford and Fred Ferris were the champion firefighters and saved their personal effects and furniture what they could. Ferris, of course, being the one we saw in the photo, who was proprietor of the station just a few years prior to that. One of the prominent citizens of the community was Honorable Ambrose Dudley Hamrick, who more than commonly went just by his initials AD. He was born in 1807 in Kentucky. He married Ellis Simpson in 1829. His father, Gilson Hamrick, served in the Revolutionary War from Virginia. A.D. Hamrick was of Irish descent, came to Indiana about 1832 along with his parents. Mrs. Hamrick family, led by her father, Solomon Simpson, and several other family members, settled near what was to become Hamrick Station. In the late 1840s and early 1850s, the Honorable A.D. Hamrick served Putnam County as a state senator under the Whig ticket. He was a leading agriculturalist, serving a number of years on the State Board of Agriculture during the 1860s, 1870, under whose direction the Indiana State Fair was held. According to an article in the Daily Banner, September 1940, Hamrick was one of the first trustees of the Boone Hutchison Cemetery Company, which was organized May 22, 1879. The Honorable A.B.D. Hamrick served in many civic positions, including a director of the Northwest Christian University. He was also the Hamrick Station postmaster on several occasions in the 1860s and 1870s. He died May 20th, 1899. He and his wife, who preceded him in death by 20 years, are buried at the Boone Hutchinson Cemetery. Their son, Solomon Simpson Hamrick, who went by Simp, died May 3rd, 1863, Battle of Chancellorsville, Spotsylvania County. He was the first lieutenant, Company A of the 27th Indiana Regiment. The Union lost this battle, and they were forced to abandon the field, and it's been said that Hamrick's body was never recovered because the area was covered and held by the hostile rebel forces. He's buried at St. Mary's Heights, Fredericksburg National Cemetery, Virginia. Detailed information, including 2 letters from Simpson Hamrick to his father during the Civil War, was compiled by Sharon Bryant, who's now deceased. The information indicates it was copyrighted, so I'm not going to include it here, but you can read it and view it if you'd like at this website, or probably can find it other sources. 2 very interesting letters that Simp Hamrick wrote back to his father. Always look at the old newspapers, courtesy of the Hoosier State Chronicles. This in 1870, which baseball is becoming very popular, where a game was held at Hamrick Station between the Jolly Hoosier and the Lone Star clubs, resulting in a score of 77-35 in favor of the Hoosiers. Another game was played at Putnamville, in which the Hoosiers scored again by a victory of 85-39. So some of the baseball games back then, the score was very high. Left, you see an article from the Indiana Sentinel, 1851, which shows that A.D. Hamrick has won the election for state senate on the Whig ticket. In 1864, we see talk about the state fair. Honorable A.D. Hamrick is president of the state fair board. Then so forth and so on. Again, you can pause at any time to read anything. 1869, another article from Hamrick Station. Where the crops are doing well. It talks about the stone quarry, which is in the area doing good business. And then the property owned by Mr. Neese, lately been improved by a new storehouse filled with stock and so forth, so on. And then we see the next year in August 1870, a party of robbers visited the store, Mr. Neese at Hamrick Station, entered the premises, bucked and gagged the old man sleeping, and robbed the establishment of all the money, a large amount of groceries and other goods. Then the robbers then proceeded to the residence of Mr. Neese nearby and went through the same operation, robbing him of nearly $200. In 1882, we see that several interesting articles, or several pieces, farmers getting ready for plowing here in March 1882. And then the Hutchinson boys have made a boat to cross Walnut Creek, and so forth, so on, complaining that the trustees are not providing enough for the schools. It was a common complaint at the time. In 1884, Lex Donahue had set out to take an organ to his family across Big Walnut Creek. But the wagon was upset, throwing the organ into the creek. He escaped with difficulty, managed to rescue the horses. And then the next morning, he was able to fish out the organ, which is probably severely damaged, I would assume. This is an interesting thing. The 1910 history of Putnam County, Jesse Weeks included listing of postmasters. So this is the post office in Hamrick Station. If you'd like to pause and read this, you see Neese, Hamrick, so forth, Brown. Then also, old Squire Boone, or brother of Daniel Boone, once lived nearby, near Hamrick Station. And on the 3rd day of July, 1837, his house was struck by lightning, by which 2 of his children were killed. 3 years later, his wife presented him with twin boys, whom he named Tip and Tyler. I wonder, because of Tippin and Tyler too, I don't know. Sometime after that, same house, 2 of his daughters were married on the same day. I hope you've enjoyed this brief discussion of Hamrick Station, and I hope you come back. We talk about some more tiny towns and vanished villages of Putnam County.